First, I'd like to say thank you for all of you that came, and I'm sure this will be informative. We look forward to good questions after we have prepared questions that we'll do first, and then we'll hope that you might offer some questions from the floor as well. So, who would like to be first? Okay. You want to take an introduction?
Well, my name is Matt Harder, and I'm running for the mayor's office in La Crosse. I guess I'll be a real brief introduction here. I think I've seen most of you here, but my name is Matt Harder, and I grew up here on the north side of La Crosse, just a couple blocks away. I'm running for the mayor's office for three initiatives, really mainly. Number one is to reduce spending. I think there's a lot of room for efficiency in government here, and that's going to be my number one priority, is getting in there and shaking things up, and hopefully cutting down that budget so we can relieve the heavy tax burden that we've got in the city of La Crosse right now. Number two is creating government transparency. I think there's a lot of things that have been done in recent years that citizens of the city of La Crosse are not happy with it. They'd like a more open government. They want to know exactly what direction the government's heading in, and I don't think that's too much to ask. I think we can give that to them. Number three is just following the lead of the people, doing what the people want us to do when we get elected in there, and not going on a retreat with department heads and council members and going behind closed doors and decide where we want to go as elected officials. But rather, I think we should get out there on the streets and talk to people and get their feedback and listen to where they want us to go as their elected officials. Those are my points, and I look forward to answering your questions tonight. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for braving such a wicked, no, wait a minute, that was the 6 months we had of winter. No, thank you for coming here tonight, even though it's one of the most beautiful nights we've had in about 6 months. I'm glad you're here. I'm Dorothy Lennon, and I'm running for mayor of La Crosse. I am here to ask sincerely for your vote. And even if I don't have any vote, I know some of you will be supporting my opponent, Mr. Harder. I do ask for your support if I do become mayor, so that we can work together. That's what this is about. You know, one of us is going to become the mayor, and no matter who that election is given to through the electoral process, I hope that you support that person. I think there's a lot going on in the world, and there's not enough support for people who are in leadership. It's a tough job, and I would ask you for that tonight. So on April 7th, I am going to ask you to vote for me. I am currently an administrator at Viterbo University in the Natural Science Division. I've been doing that job for 12 years. I'm also a small business owner. I run a nonprofit called Logan Guardians and Conservators. We take care of people who have mental disabilities and need help with decision making. My educational background is that I got a bachelor's in science in forest hydrology from Michigan Technological University. It's up in the Upper Peninsula, not so far from Wisconsin, but still part of Michigan. And I also have my master's in servant leadership from Viterbo that I got a couple years ago. We are sitting at a time, I think, in our history in La Crosse where we're going to have to reinvent ourselves. We're going to have to be creative. We're going to have some new actions. And I've been on the city council for 4 years. I represent the 8th district. In that time, I've seen lots of change that needs to take place. We're doing things the old way. We're dependent on business that's been here that I don't think necessarily is going to maybe be here in 10 to 20 years, and that's coming true with a lot of the layoffs that we're seeing locally. We have to look where we're going to be in 10 years or 20 years. With my experience in the community, I've been a huge community volunteer over the last 20 or 30 years. It's what I did before I got into politics. So I care about the community, I love the community, and I know the community, more importantly. I think we have the people here that can take us to that next decade. And we have a lot of skilled workforce. We have institutions of higher learning of all kinds. I think we have all the right formulas on top of living in one of the most beautiful places I've been, and I've lived all over the country. So again, I'm interested in what the questions will be tonight, what your concerns are. Both Matt and I have been going to doors like crazy, and we hear what constituents say, and I think we can both agree that taxes and the economy are the two main issues, but I know each of you probably have other issues too. So I enjoyed listening to you tonight too, and will hopefully gain something that I can take with me to help lead.
Thank you. Now, the next question is who's going to go first on the questions. And I forwarded the questions that we have to them so they have time to prepare a little bit as to what our executive group felt were four important issues. So since Matt went first, I'm going to have you go first this time.
Thank you, Mr. Dukes. The first question that they asked us was about tips. They said comment on the benefits or problems and should there be more. The state came up with a tool that's an incentive for cities called TIPS, it's Tax Incremental Finance Districts. And it fits the needs of a community like La Crosse, where we have 50% of our property in nonprofits and we have high taxes. We need to have some incentives for business to want to invest in the city of La Crosse. When they do, and they build bigger buildings, they add tax base. That's the kind of short of it. What I've said often as we've been going out and speaking to groups is that we need to do a better PR on TIPS, because people, I think they understand them, and I think we all, even myself, think we have a good grasp of it, but there's a lot to learn about them, and there's a lot of misinformation out there. Currently, one of the TIPS that we just approved last week will provide $48 million in new assessed value when all are completed down at the Logistics Health in Riverside Plaza. That's a lot of money that we wouldn't have if we didn't incentive to the business community a TIF district. We have the La Crosse Center and the Radisson because of the TIF district. We have the new festival foods that many people are using, and it's drawing more people feeling comfortable to live closer to town because of TIF districts. TIFs don't take away the tax base right now for the city. What they do is the added value that gets taxed for a time, whatever the TIF agreement is, that tax goes back to whoever built the project, or the developer is, or the owner. Long term, this builds tax base for the community. So, are TIFs always good? No, there are better TIFs than others. We are allowed by the state to have about 12% in TIFs. We have about 6% in TIF right now. Should we keep continuing to do that? Probably, if the project is a good one. Should we, and this is something we've been talking about, and I've talked openly at both City Council and at the City Planning Commission, should we probably have a better program and template for what a TIF should do and what it should give to any business that comes into the door? Yes. I think we should have more consistency in what we do with TIFs. But TIFs are an incentive tool, especially designed for a community like ours that needs to have some incentive for a business to come into our city tax base. I would ask that, if I am elected mayor, that you would attend, and if you want to know more about TIFs, educational sessions that we would hopefully have for both council members and the community, so that we can all understand this better and see the value of it.